Good evening, everyone. My name is Doni Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com. I come to you this evening to discuss the Black agenda here in the state of Maryland. If you've been watching the Maryland Black Caucus website, they just concluded a forum where they featured a number of our Black and white and Latino and Jewish elected officials or candidates running for governor of the state of Maryland. Peter Francho, the comptroller, was there. Rashawn Baker, former county executive for Prince George's County. Wes Moore out of Baltimore, well-known, no doubt. Tom Perez, David Lasher, a libertarian. Ashwani Jain. I must say that I was impressed by some others. They need some work on their Black agenda. And as I was hearing all of these things, it just came to me that I should share what we have been pushing with Be More News for the past 19 years by way of a Black agenda. Number one, public education. Now, if you're running for governor of the state of Maryland, I want you to listen very closely. Prince George's County and Baltimore City are 23 and 24 at the bottom of the barrel, at the bottom of the heap, at the bottom of the totem pole. Tonight was a grand opportunity for someone to come up out of the clear blue with a task force for Baltimore City and Prince George's County. How in the world could they miss that? This is baseball season. They swung and missed a grand opportunity to identify the need for a task force. Baltimore, Prince George's County, both majority Black jurisdictions here in the state of Maryland, the richest state in the nation, but these two school jurisdictions are at the bottom of the heap. Unacceptable, and again, a missed opportunity. There's no way we can build a better community, a better Baltimore, a better Prince George's County if public education isn't being pushed. We've seen here in the city of Baltimore where there's a lot of finger pointing when it comes to education. Nobody wants to take responsibility. We need more money. I get it. I get it. At the same time, there are some accountability issues. Ghost students, ghost teachers, principals who barely are involved, sometimes even absent. I'm not sure how much of Fox's reporting is accurate, but we're seeing time and time again, nobody wants to ask the questions. And even more importantly, nobody wants to answer the question. So public education. I'm a Baltimore City public school graduate. Much love for the teachers and educators, but we know that Baltimore City public schools in particular have been traumatized. Under Alonzo, 75% of the principals were dismissed. They were let go. They were sent into early retirement. Any corporation that gets rid of 75% of their principles, I mean, you have lost such a wealth in intellectual capital all at once, and it hasn't been addressed since. Dr. Sonia Santalisa, I'm not sure how I would grade her work. I do know that when you're being paid $300,000 a year, people don't want to hear excuses. People want to hear, and I can remember Ed Norris saying this, the buck stops here. And so I have to answer all of the questions, particularly at the rate of $300,000. Secondly, Black business. I am the world's biggest advocate of Black business. For 19 years, Be More News has pushed business networking events. We've worked to give small businesses affordable advertising. We've gone to a number of events, business events, Prince George's County, Randallstown, Baltimore City, of course, pushing the envelope for Black business. One candidate, Peter Francho, he mentioned raising the MBE goal for the state of Maryland from, I think it's about 27% to 50%. It's not the goal. It's not the goal that's the problem. The problem is enforcement of the rules. Like here in Baltimore City, we have 27% as a goal, but at the end of the day, Black businesses get 1 to 2% of the businesses. How in the world, in a majority Black city, do you have Black businesses getting such a smidgen of the business? It's downright disrespectful. And the fact that we have a Black mayor, Black city council president, Black comptroller is inexcusable. The same thing for the state of Maryland. Just like here in Baltimore City, the Board of Estimates meets every Wednesday to discuss contracts, most contracts. The same thing happens in Annapolis on a statewide level. It's called the Board of Public Works. That's where the governor, the comptroller, and the treasurer, they vote on contracts, statewide contracts. And so what we need is enforcement of the rules, enforcement of the laws, ensuring that Blacks get prime contracts, not just the subcontracts, but the prime contracts. And those companies that won't hire Black subs, they should be penalized, and they should not be allowed to do business here in the state of Maryland. So the goal is nice, but enforcement of the goal is everything. Just like here in Baltimore City, you have businesses that are claiming to be minority business enterprise, and when you pull back the curtain, you find out it's run by a white woman, or it's run by a white woman who's fronting for a white man. There's so many attacks. When this broke, when these business initiatives first came about with Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell on the federal level, he helped create that federal 8A program because they saw the need. If you help these businesses succeed, they'll be successful for life, and they can then hire other Black people. As Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford often reminds, nobody's going to hire Black businesses, hire Black people more so than Black businesses. Number 3, and I was glad that Westmore was the first one to articulate this. How in the world, can you talk about a Black agenda in the state of Maryland and not mention mass incarceration? Let me give you the stats, folks. Black people make up America makes up 5% of the world's population, but we have 25% of the world's inmates. 5% of the world's population, and we got 1/4 of the world's inmates. And Maryland, as alluded by Westmore, is right behind Mississippi in terms of the number of people, Black people, being incarcerated. So if you got people locked up for weed, but yet you have gubernatorial candidates talking about legalizing recreational marijuana, there's a lot of stuff to undo. So now white men are running $1 million cannabis businesses, but Black men are being locked up or serving time for a bag of weed. This is a no-brainer. And this war on drugs, I forgot the candidate who was talking about, I think it was David Lasher, the libertarian, was talking about the fake war on drugs. It was just an excuse to lock up Black people. And here's the other thing that I was waiting to see if anyone would allude. Here in Sandtown, we now have white addicts coming from up and down the East Coast to come here to buy drugs. So it's had a rippling, vicious impact on our communities. Everything from the crack epidemic of the late 80s and 90s all the way through to this fentanyl and opioid thing that's going on today. I have white women in my alleys, that I'm chasing out because they're shooting dope in my alley. Here in Sandtown, post Freddie Gray. We talked about public education, Black business, mass incarceration, affordable housing, and universal access to healthcare. They're pretty self-explanatory. Black people, if the better our health is wealth. It's self-explanatory. The same with housing. I really was wondering if anyone would mention all of the vacant houses in Baltimore and how we get rid of them. I think State Senator Dolores Kelly has the best grasp on the topic. It's not so easy just to take someone's property. At the same time, here in the city of Baltimore, we have too many absentee landlords with dilapidated properties. All of that to say, do check out the Maryland Black Caucus. They have made it their business and big ups to Darryl Barnes and also Speaker Adrienne Jones for making the Black agenda an agenda item for the gubernatorial election season. The election is June 28th. The primary, that is June 28th of next year. And of course, November will be the general election. So we're going to see how things pan out. Peter Francho, Westmore, Rashawn Baker. I think those are the three horses to watch. Francho's from Montgomery County, Rashawn Baker's from Prince George's, Westmore's from Baltimore. It's going to be a very interesting fight. At present, it seems like Francho has the advantage. On the Republican side, it's almost a given that Kelly Schultz will win, but it's going to also be interesting to see how Black people, who make up 30% of the state, how we interpret what we're seeing on television, what we're seeing on social media, what we're seeing in the newspapers. And it's up to us to make up our minds for ourselves. I will say this. There's a lot of infighting down in the Montgomery County. Look at Tom Perez. You got Doug Gansler. You got Peter Francho. So there's a lot of infighting that's going to happen in Montgomery County. Prince George's County can't necessarily say that Rashawn Baker's totally going to take it, just like you can't say that Westmore's totally going to take Baltimore. Francho has already made a lot of inroads. My name's Doni Glover. Do check out bemorenews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We also have a new sister station, blackusa.news, where we broadcast 7 days a week. Thank you for your time. Do get involved. Do learn about these candidates. Do make sure you have your voter's card and your voter registration. If you're not going to be around, get your early voting ballots. But this next election, June 28th, 2022, will be one for the generations. My name's Doni Glover, and thank you for your time.